introduce Mr. Ernie Mast. Ernie, how are you doing this morning?
Very good, Kai.
It's good to
Thanks
see
for
you.
having me on your program. So I'll be making some forward-looking statements. And what we're looking to do here is implement a hub and spoke operation in the Chibougamau mining camp in northern Quebec. This was a mining camp that was active in the past, and there's a series of copper gold deposits that we can put through the mill. We can sequence it according to what makes the most sense. And with that hub and spoke operation, we'd produce Dore from gravity gold as well as copper concentrate. And we're targeting an amount of approximately 60 million pounds per year of copper equivalent, or 100,000 ounces per year of gold equivalent. We have an experienced team in place. This company was formed in 2017, and we set about putting together a management team and a board, a very good group of people with experience in Canada and Quebec in copper and gold, in finance and operations and geology. The co-founders of the company, Mario, Stefano, Ewan Downey, and myself, are all still active with the company. As I mentioned, the company was formed privately in 2017 when we acquired the assets from a group called Ocean Partners, who had owned the assets since 2011, and Ocean Partners remains our largest shareholder. As a private company, we did 19,000 meters of exploration and confirmed to ourselves of the exploration potential here in our area. And we issued our 43-101, and then we went public via RTO at the end of 2019. And last year, we drilled 27,540 meters at the Mann property, the Corner Bay property, and the Cedar Bay property. And this upcoming year, we're looking to update our resources and do a PEA. The capital structure is quite tight, with 38 million shares outstanding, with a market capitalization of 32 million Canadian, and we currently have $4 million of working capital. We're closing a second tranche of financing during January that will give us an additional $2.2 million. So we are well funded for the rest of the year, and especially to take us through the PEA. You can see the share structure where Ocean Partners are our largest shares, but the insiders in management have a decent portion of the company. So we're very motivated working here, and we have Quebec funds invested in the company, and they will continue to do so. So this slide probably doesn't need a lot of explanation for your viewers or the people attending the conferences. Copper and gold are two of the best commodities. We're seeing gold prices hovering around $1,900 an ounce, and we did breach the $2,000 an ounce limit in 2020, and I expect that we should see something similar in 2021. The copper is fundamentals are very strong with the electrification of the transportation industry. We're projecting a 5 million, or the RBC capital markets are projecting a 5 million ton deficit in approximately a decade, and we're going to see that become apparent during the early part of the 2020s. And the reason why the electrification is consuming that much copper is that each electric vehicle uses nearly 4 times more copper than a standard conventional car. And then on top of it, you have all the copper required for charging stations and the infrastructure to support that. So we really see the electrification of transportation as a great support for the copper industry, and many countries and jurisdictions have in fact committed to the electrification of their transportation industry. Talking about our assets, we have 10,700 hectares across this Chibougamau camp, which is located approximately 500 kilometers north of Montreal. We have good road access to Montreal, Quebec City to the south, and then to the west to the Abitibi mining area, Val-d'Or and Rouyn-Noranda. The deposits are located within a 60-kilometer radius of the Copper End mill. So this was a mill that last operated in 2008 with a capacity of 2,700 tons per day. The deposits are a mix of copper and gold. Some of them are predominantly copper, such as the Corner Bay deposit, and others are predominantly gold, such as the Mann deposit. And the other deposits rest somewhere in between that high copper, well, they rest somewhere in between on the copper gold spectrum. So we really have a very balanced copper gold portfolio. At this point, it looks like it's a little more copper than gold, but that can change with some successful exploration results. So I'll talk about three of the deposits now in a little more detail. The Corner Bay deposit is a deposit that we were drilling in 2020, where we drilled approximately 10,200 meters. And we're expanding out the deposit towards the south. We were very successful in that. Out of our 11 holes, 9 of the holes we believe will increase the size of the resource. And we are typically doing step outs of approximately 100 to 120 meters, and typically getting intercepts between 6 and 7.5 meters, between 2.2 and 9% copper. And the deposit is still open in that southerly direction. The deposit is also open on the north side, and we're drilling up plunge of the deep main vein, where historically there was an intercept of about 9.3% copper. These deposits are mesothermal veins located on shear veins, so we know exactly where the deposit is. We have a really good understanding of the deposit, of the structure, and we're currently still expanding out the deposit. And we will look to do 6,000 meters of drilling starting in January 2021, and we expect the deposit to continue to grow while we keep the same resource grade, which is over 3%. As you know, it's pretty rare to find a copper deposit with over 3% copper, and we have one of the good examples of those types of deposits. The Cedar Bay deposit was another deposit that we drilled in 2020. We drilled 9,000 meters, and in this case, this is a past producing mine that stopped operating in 1990. 3.9 million tons were produced, and it was mined to a level of 670 meters. About 200-300 meters below that lowest level, subsequent drilling identified some high-grade copper and gold veins, and our drilling in 2020 was to follow up on that drilling. We had success in 3 of the structures, the 1020A, 1020B, and central structure, where all 3 are still open at depth. And we were able to extend the depth of the deposits by about 200 meters. The intercepts that we obtained were of good grade, especially on the copper side. We had an intercept of 14.2% copper and 1.16 grams per ton gold, another intercept of 6.9% copper and 3.1 grams gold, and those were on the central vein, which we see is to be the predominant structure here. What we would need to do here in the future is dewater this mine and look to drill from underground. We recently did a video scan of the shaft, and we took water samples at every 100-meter interval, and we don't see anything wrong with the shaft or the water quality. So we're going to commence some studies on what it takes to dewater and look to drill from underground here. That would give us a much better platform to expand out the resource. Currently have 360,000 resources at 8.7 grams per ton gold and 1.9% copper. So in this case, the gold value is greater than the copper value, but both grades are quite exceptional. And third deposit I'll talk about is the Mann deposit. This deposit is a past producing gold mine, having produced 1.2 million ounces of gold at 8.26 grams per ton. It closed in 2007, and the reason for its closure was the relatively low gold price at the time. And the operator at the time was more focused on building a copper mine. The mine was mined down to approximately 1,050 meters, and the shaft goes down to 1,145 meters. And the deposit here is a series of east-west striking veins. So what we did is during our drilling in 2020, we tested the main zone, the west zone, the far west zone, and the south-south zone, and we drilled approximately 8,300 meters. On the main zone in the west zone, we're following up down dip of historic intercepts and historic workings. And on the far west zone and the south-south zone, we drilled from surface. Here we're following up on very high-grade gold intercepts. On the main zone, we were following up on 3 meters at 30 grams and 1.8 meters at 27 grams per ton gold. And on the west zone, we're following up on a series of plus 10 grams per ton intercepts. We will resume drilling on this deposit in 2021, where we'll be doing a couple of wedges off an existing hole, and we'll be targeting the main zone on the eastern side. So one of the keys to our successful hub and spoke operation is the fact that we already have a mill. Mill has a capacity of 2,700 tons per day, and it last operated in 2008. And the mill is only 14 kilometers from the town of Chibougamau, which is a town of 7,500 people and very attached to the resource industry. In fact, the town was built in the 1950s in order to support the current set of mines, which we currently own. The company also has a tailings facility with a capacity of 8 million tons, which should be definitely good enough for about 10 years. And on top of that, we'll probably use tailings for backfill, so that would give us almost an indefinite life for that tailings facility. Being close to the town, we have support of the town. When I go to town, I usually meet with the mayor and other leaders. We also have the support of the First Nations of Chibougamau. They're located approximately 50 kilometers from the town of Chibougamau, and they're very experienced with resource development, and we're currently working with one joint venture company where they're affiliated as well. Quebec, as we know, is an excellent jurisdiction. They give you financial support when you're in the exploration phase, and then they're very experienced in the permitting and management of mines. So we've established a pretty good relationship with the province in terms of looking how we're going to do our exploration work and then eventually restart this operation. So the plans are to continue drilling during early 2021, mainly at Corner Bay and Mann, but we continue to evaluate other properties in our mining camp. One thing which I didn't mention is we have 12 identified deposits on our land. We've picked the 3 of them that I mentioned today as our most promising, but the other ones also have exploration potential. We do expect the mineral resource update in Q2, and then anticipate to complete the PEA in the second half of this year. During 2021, we'll continue to evaluate the dewatering of the Cedar Bay and Mann properties. If we're able to dewater and drill from underground at those deposits, it would be a great advantage for us. We're going to look to start the pre-development agreement with the Chibougamau Cree Nation and commence the rehabilitation plans for the mill. And then in 2022, we're going to continue to advance the exploration at the mineral properties, and after a successful PEA, we'd look to advance towards a feasibility study and continue the permitting process and a more formal agreement with the Chibougamau Cree Nation. So in summary, we've consolidated a large brownfield land package in the prolific Lac Doré Chibougamau camp. We have established mining infrastructure, a mill, tailings facility, underground workings. It'd be very difficult to recreate what we have obtained here. This is a great brownfield opportunity. Our resources are copper and gold, 2 great commodities, and we do have good growth potential with our deposits. And we're looking to establish a project pipeline in order to feed the mill. So once we have all those things in place, we should be able to redevelop at a low capital cost. And then with the strong financial partners that we currently have, including the Quebec government, we should be able to restart the camp and implement the hub and spoke operation, targeting 100,000 ounces a year of gold equivalent or 60 million pounds per year of copper equivalent.